Today we are going to be looking at making these funky patterned tiled piles. Today I'm going to show you how you can make these puzzles yourself. So these are very simple puzzles you can use to cut out with your laser cutters, and obviously you can do them out of wood, acrylic, wherever you like, and they're great little products if you want to sell them. And these will also make great gifts for friends and family as well, because these can take absolutely ages to complete, especially when you make the more complex ones like this one. So I'll show you now exactly what these look like. I have cut quite a few out with my laser already, and without the screen in front of me I wouldn't actually be able to complete these myself, because they're really easy to make, but once you take them apart, try putting them back together, it is solid. So let's get into it. These two are made from scratch, and then these two will show you can make these with literally just a couple of clicks on a website, and they'll automatically generate what you like. Right, so we'll make the triangle one first of all. So to make a very simple triangle in Inkscape, go down here, you've got the star polygon tool, click that. With the star selected, you only want 3 corners. Now holding control, if you drag, click and drag, you'll notice it does it pointing upwards if you get the mouse in the right place. If you don't hold control, it's really hard to get it straight. So we're going to go about there. So we're going to add a stroke and delete the infill. Now with that triangle selected, press Ctrl and D. That duplicates it. And now we're going to hold Control and Shift and then click this arrow and just drag it down to about there. Let's put a fill on it so we can see it and take the stroke off. And we're going to pump him. Put him right to the top corner. Have you noticed we've got snap in turned on, so it's easy for us just to drag and put that in the right place. I'm just going to take the stroke off this outer triangle and put a fill on it, just so we haven't got the stroke affecting where the snap ins go in. So we know if I take the opacity down, it is perfectly in the top corner, and any stroke or anything isn't going to ruin how these are going to slot together. So with this top triangle now selected in the right place, if you go to Path and then Path Effects, you'll be greeted with this little screen over here. Click the drop down and we're going to go Tiling. I haven't found one which will tile them all like that, perfectly next to each other. So what I tend to do is select this one. So that is RX, RY, CX. And we're going to add more rows and a lot more columns. So 7 rows and 7 columns. And you'll notice it only goes to the right. So we're just going to click and drag. And we're just going to get that to snap in place there. So we just want all these triangles to be within that larger triangle. It's still just one triangle with a path effect on it. So we're going to go Path, Object to Path. Now that'll just convert this to a whole object. And now we're going to go Path and now Break Apart. So this has converted this to individual triangles. We only want the triangles within this bigger triangle. So we're just going to select all these outer triangles and delete them. You can click and drag, but sometimes I find it easier just to select each individual one and just delete. Now you'll notice our larger triangle isn't actually the same size as all them triangles, so just select it. I'm just going to click and drag until that snaps to the bottom, and now you'll notice these sides are just out. So with it still selected, hold Shift and then pull out, and it'll drag it out both ways. If you do it without Shift, it'll only go one way. So hold Shift and do that, because we got snapping turned on. That snaps perfectly. Now we need to fill in these triangles. So the easiest way for me to do this, I just click and drag and I will select all of these triangles. Control D, which will duplicate them, and I'm going to pop them in there. We'll change the color on these just so we can differentiate them. I'm going to use these two now to fill in the rest. So click the top one, hold Shift, click that one, Control and D, that duplicates them, snap them in place, Control D, that snaps in place, Control D again, and that's snapped in place there. That is perfect. So if I just move this triangle from below, you'll see we have lots of different triangles which will fit inside this triangle. Now this next bit is completely up to you how you want to make the shapes. So you can see I've got a triangle at the top, little shape there, shape there. So we'll just select these top 4 as one triangle. We're going to go Path, Union. So that one's one shape. That is perfect. That's going to cut out and fit in there perfectly. Now let's select a couple of different ones. So for this, I'm just selecting one triangle, holding shift. I'm just going to select some other ones within there. If you're not sure if you've selected the right ones, just click and drag them out. Press Control and Z, it'll go back in, the selection will still be retained. Path Union, and I'm going to change the color to red. I'll do the same with these ones over here. Path Union, and we'll change these to purple. Perfect. So now this will fit in that perfectly. But what I like to do is make this triangle a tiny bit bigger. So at the moment it's 98.862 wide. I'm going to go 99.1. Maybe 99.2. So just when you laser cut these out to fit them in, they're not going to be like really snug. You can have a tiny bit of play with them. It just makes it easier. See, and trying to push them in and out, you could possibly snap your wood or acrylic. So if I object and group these, I can now align these. And there's that tiny gap all the way around, which is what I want. So Control D to duplicate this one. Let's change the color on that a second. And I want to make this a bit bigger because I want to make this outer frame here. So holding Control, and I'm going to press the close bracket. Press it 8 times there. It depends on obviously the size you're going for. Right, so I want to cut this out of that, but before I do that, I'm going to round the edges off. So we're going to go into the node tool, and now we're going to select the add corners. Select all the corners. I'm holding shift with all them selected. I'm just going to take this anchor point and just round them off. So slightly. Perfect. Now Control D, I'm going to duplicate this back bit because that's going to be the full back of it, and this is going to cut through that. So this is going to be a frame, and that's going to be the back to build this on top of. So with this bit selected, we're going to hold shift, select the back frame, path, difference. So that's going to cut that out. So this is your base. This is then your frame, and this is going to be the puzzle you're going to build inside of it. Okay, now let's do the square one. It's very similar to how we did that one. So let's just draw a perfect square. I'm going to make that 100 by 100. I just take the fill off and have a stroke on it. Let's take that stroke up a little bit, just so we can see it. Now I'm going to Control D again, which will duplicate that. And we're going to bring this right down. I want this 10 by 10. Right, let's just take this stroke off, add that fill. I'll do the same with this. Let's add a different colored fill, take the stroke off, and snap that there. Again, path effects, tiling, and straight away the first one works with this. With the square one, it's a lot easier to do. So that is all then perfect. If you can't really see it, but if I had the stroke on it, you can see all the squares individually. So path, object of path, and now we're going to go path, break apart. Let's take that stroke off. And again, it's completely up to you what types of shapes and all that you want to build for this. So if we select these ones, path union, and let's fill this in red. And let's go them two, path union. I should really learn like the shortcut, shouldn't I? It's just Control and plus. Control and plus. Perfect. Let's just move that out of the way. Again, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, so we're going to go 101.5. Let's just group all these seconds, object and group. We can pop a stroke on them now if needs be. We can also align them to the center. With the outer square, Control D, and control close bracket just to make the frame. Let's change the color on it as well. So let's duplicate that back frame, move that to the back, page up and page down if you want to move it up and down a layer mode. So with that selected and that, path and difference, so that makes that outside frame and that makes the back piece. So they will fit in there nicely. So again, with these, I am going to take these into Lightburn and just cut them out as one piece in one color. But obviously you can do lots of different colors. You can cut them out of wood and paint the wood as well if you want. If you do plan on cutting all these out of like different color pieces of acrylic, you can obviously separate the parts and move them wherever. And then when you take them to something like Lightburn, you can obviously cut them certain parts out of certain colors. And so that is how you make them too. Right, so let's show you how we make these puzzles. Now these are not made in Inkscape. This is made from a different website, which I will put a link down in the description. And let's just load them up here. Let's go. It's called Draradek. Right, so the links are there. Like I said, I'll put it down in the description. So your seed is just where the bits are going to be randomly placed. So every single one, they're going to be slightly different. It's up to you which one you use. Tab size is the size of obviously the tab. You can go really small or really big. Jitter is, I'll show you jitter now. So you see the shape of these, if you want it to go like a little bit wonky or straight, completely up to you. Diameter, no, this is not going to change in here, but when you save it out, it's going to save that diameter. So these ones are saved. Well, it was a 200, but obviously I've scaled them down. Rings, how many pieces are in there. So it's up to you if you want to do like nice and easy ones and then really hard ones. Circle wrap. So originally it'll just look like this. You can go circle wrap and then that'll give you a more spherical shape, but also as you can see they are still sharp on the edge. But then if you check this bottom box, you get a perfect circle every time, or alternatively you can just check that one, and again it's completely up to you. So have a mess around with them, download the SVG, and then you can just import them directly into Inkscape to have a play around with, or again you can just import them directly into Lightburn or whatever laser software you're going to be using.